The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello.
And we're back. Hello, we're back for one more show of the table topics, and we didn't have a show last week, but this week we here and we ready to go. I know John has something to talk about, and I have a few notes in here that I want to talk about too.
All right. Well, why don't you go first?
We will make it interesting for sure.
Yeah. Why don't you go first, because I don't want to steal your thunder or take too much time here.
No. Well, one thing that I want to talk to you about is the famous $600 checks a week. Because now both parties, seems like both parties are, it's a nightmare. Like it's something new for both parties.
Yeah.
Let's back up a year ago.
Yeah.
I think we had a few shows that we talked about, especially after we came back from Portugal.
Yeah.
How the people don't get free money, they get work time.
Yeah.
And we said back then, we said how people abuse the system here, getting checks and staying home, doing nothing. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. We've been dealing with this for so many years, and we've been talking about for so many years, but no party did anything about it. I just don't see what's the difference that make people stop the checks now and get people to work versus years that people being abused the checks, the money. And what was the difference stopping, get them the checks back then and send them to work? Tell me, John, what's the difference?
Well, first of all, this was brought up before that was even voted on. I believe Lindsey Graham, who's from South Carolina, had mentioned his state, Myrtle Beach. He said a lot of the people that work there are in the tourism industry, waiters, waitresses, hotel workers. He said, if you give them $600 more a week, I should say, it's going to be more than they're making, and it's going to be very hard to get them back. But, I think this was back in March when we had, all this stuff going on and people just wanted money to go out there. So, you know what? I don't think it should be voted in again, because again, when we do vote, if they do vote that in again, we get the printing presses going on again. When you keep on printing too much money, it becomes devalued, and that hurts everybody. I wish what they would have done, and they don't want to hear this, is cut payroll taxes. That's basically cutting the amount of money that you put into Social Security every week or every 2 weeks. That will affect everybody working, and if you're not working, it's not going to affect you. So it's an incentive for everybody.
Let me see if we make sense and if we both on the same step about this. Did you ever fill out paperwork for unemployment?
No, I can honestly say I'm very lucky. I've never applied for unemployment before. So
I worked for 3 decades, and the first time that I filled up unemployment was last year.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: when you fill up the employment, they check with you employer. They want to know if actually we are telling the truth when we apply for it.
Yep.
If I walk away from my job, I will not get employment.
Yep.
Okay? If I walk away from my job, I will not get employed. Now, if my job says I don't need you for 2 months, when they get contacted by the state, they say, yes, he works for me, but my job is slow. He's going to have to go in employment for 2 months. I will call him back in 2 months.
Yep.
Now I went through the system. Now I get employment. I get an employment based on how much I discounted through work.
Yep.
For 3 decades that I discounted, I probably could stay home now for 5 years collecting a check because I have so much money in. But for a person that goes every year, it's different. Now, the way the people are talking about, it's like my company is going to call me and it's going to say, Carlos, I need you back to work. And I'm going to say no. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to stay collecting money. That's not true. That's not how it happened. When the company calls me and tells me that I refuse to go back to work, they stop employment because they are paying for me to getting my payment.
Yeah, and I think we're in a different environment now because of the COVID-19, soon to be COVID-20, COVID-21 apparently, and maybe even 2022.
24.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I just think it's a different environment because people can say, I'm afraid to go back to work. So I'm not sure how,
I don't think the company, if the company is going to call me and I'm going to tell them I'm not going back, I'm afraid to go back to work, they're going to stop the paying my employment. They're going to stop. They say, well, we have work for you. You don't want to come to work. It's up to you. It's your option. But guess what? We're not going to be paying our part for you to stay home.
But I think, Carlos, I think there are some people that can have that happen because let's face it, these restaurants aren't at 100% capacity. What are they at? 20% capacity, 15. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people in these places that are not able to go back. So the people that they're going to call a few people. Whoever comes back, they'll take them. The others will probably stay on unemployment.
Well, what I mean? You know that I served tables for 8 years. Okay. Yep. A $600 check is probably the minimum that I could do in a week, serving tables. The minimum that I could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I have big parties, forget it. I will make $600 in 2 parties. Yeah. But so if that's the case, and they say no, I think they are losing money because I'm going to tell you why. If a restaurant calls me back and I go to work, and how many tables you think I'm going to serve with all this 6 feet apart? How many tables? If before the virus, I was serving 10 tables a night. It's a good sized restaurant for me to serve 10 tables a night. With all this going on, I'm going to serve 3 tables a night if I'm lucky. 3 tables a night. You think it's enough for me to survive with 3 tables a night?
Yeah, and I think that's the issue that some of the places are going to have.
I don't think it's enough. So on the restaurant side, it is. Yeah. It's tough because they're not going to make money, and they know they're going to struggle. If they're going to go back to serve 3 tables and get out of there with $100 on their pocket, it's not enough to survive.
Yeah,
it's not enough to survive. Now let's go back again for those that are on the job and doing the work that I do right now. I know for fact that 80% of those workers are retiring. Yep. Because we just do 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours on the afternoon. Yep. It's perfect for them because as a retirement and getting a retirement check, they cannot go over 10 or 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a part-time for them. So what I'm been hearing now from a few of them is, I'm not gonna go back, because why I'm gonna go back and get sick from one of the kids for $150 a week?
Yeah. But the thing is, you know, kids are not the ones that are getting sick. They may be carriers, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you're retired, you're in a different situation. But you know, we got to get back to some kind of normal way of being. These kids can't sit home for 3 years.
I know, but and another thing is, and the school department are talking, but I really don't hear the conversation, the plan. I don't hear the plan, what the plan is, because now they want to put 3 kids, and I'm going to give you an example. A van that before the virus was transporting 8 kids.
Yeah.
Now it's only allowed to transport 3 kids.
Yeah.
Those 3 kids, it's only 2 options to get all those 8 kids to school.
Yeah.
Option number 1 is, if you bring 3, go back, pick up another 3, and go back, pick up another 3, and keep 1 driver.
Yeah.
So what time is the first pickup before school starts? Because now now the driver needs to do 3 runs instead of 1 run.
Yeah.
That's issue number 1. Issue number 2, if they want to put 3 vans, or they want to put 3 buses to pick up the same 8 kids, now they need to hire 2 more drivers. They need to buy 2 extra buses.
And then the gasoline, insurance, right?
Everything. But even worse is, it's no drivers out there. Why did the school department change school hours, start school hours? Very simple. Because there was not enough drivers. They could pick up the schools that pick up, it starts earlier, bring them to school, and then go back up the kids that the schools starts an hour later. That's why we have 2 start time schools, because there was not enough drivers. It's not easy to get drivers. You need to have a very clean MRV record. Your license needs to be very clean. You need to pass all the drug tests. You need to have a very clean Cory check. Nothing, plain, clean Cory check. That's the reason that's very hard to get drivers, because you deal with kids. You need to be clear in everything. You cannot have nothing on your record. Okay? So,
but you know, that's
going to be tough. That's going to be very tough. And I'm not hearing a plan from the school. Oh yeah, the only thing they say, and I heard the superintendent saying is, oh yes, we're going to go clean the buses between the pickups. That's not a plan. Yeah. That's not a plan.
It's a sad state of affairs that you can't hire people that have something on a Cory check. That's a really sad state of affairs for society. If that's the case, that they have not had some kind of something on their record. That's really sad. That's what we've come to in this country. But hey, I hear you.
Well, because guess what? If somebody has something on their records, do you want them to be dealing with your kids?
Oh no, I totally agree. But I mean, if we have 50% of the people that have issues with a criminal record, again, that's just a sad state of affairs that we're in right now.
And that's state laws. The laws are the ones that dictate it.
Yeah. No,
those are state laws.
I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying that it's pretty sad that employers can't have a hard time finding somebody that doesn't have a record. That's pretty sad.
I remember when I went, the first thing that I did for my license was my Cory check. And I remember like it was today that she called me and she was so happy that I passed my Cory check.
Yeah.
I was like, why is she so happy?
Yeah.
Because of that. Out of 10 applications, probably 1 passes the first test, which is the Corey check.
Wow.
You know, so it's very hard to get drivers. And what I say now, it's a lot of these drivers are on retirement. They're not going back.
Yep.
But guess what? The school company, the school has a contract with the city that needs to provide the service. But I don't see the communication between the schools and the transportation. The way the schools are thinking is we're going to turn the switch and the bus is going to come in here in front of the houses. That's not going to happen. And the way they're planning now, having like the kids having some days school at home and some days at school. That's another problem. You know, I know 80% of our kids, okay, they are doing everything by themselves. They get up by themselves. That's why we give them breakfast at school, because they don't come ready for school in the morning. Okay, so you think that kid's gonna wake up on a Tuesday and say, "Hey, guess what? Today it's the day that I go to school."
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're gonna miss a lot of school days. They're gonna miss a lot of school days. It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a total mess. And I don't see the plans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's something that we're dealing with the state. I'll give you this. This is hilarious. I heard this today. To go to the state of Maine, okay, if you want to go visit, because people in Massachusetts and Rhode Island are not allowed to go to the state of Maine unless you have a COVID test. You got to show them to stay in a hotel there, right? But people from the state of New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, those were like the epicenters, specifically New York, they can go to Maine without a test. New Jersey, there was something on the news, and I've been following this. A gym owner, I think it's in Belmar, New Jersey. The gyms aren't allowed to open in New Jersey, but the state of Maine will let people from New Jersey go up there and visit. Does that make any sense? So we want states to have rights, and I get it. It should go to the states, but when you have 50 states, you're going to have 50 different ways of doing it, and you know.
Do you believe that the virus numbers gonna go up in Mass?
I don't think the numbers are as high as they are anyway. I think they were exaggerated. I'm not saying totally, but for example, Massachusetts, we've had 8,200 deaths, right? I had to laugh because the vice president was here and he was thanking the governor as to what a good job he did. We're number 3 or 4 in the number of deaths in the U.S. It's like New York, New Jersey, and like us, you know. So, I mean, we had, and, you know, and most of those deaths were in nursing homes. 60 to 70% of them were in nursing homes. They were not testing these people. When they cut off the families from going in March, they were not testing these workers. So these workers were bringing these into the nursing homes. The nursing home people, when they caught it, if they went to the hospital and tested, they'd bring them back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're back.
That it kind of went out there. Sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure, Carlos, because there's a lot of the folks in the nursing homes, they could have had other conditions, but what they, you know, if they had COVID-19, they're going to put that as the first cause of death. So I'm not really sure what.
I think the numbers will go up, and you know why? Because you know that we have a lot of colleges on our area.
Yeah.
And we're going to have kids go back to school. So that means that a lot of those students going to come from different states.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the numbers too, I think we have a 1 or 2% death rate. So out of 100 people, 1 or 2 people die. You have that with the flu or anything else. So we got to think of a way to get things back going. We can't be just not working and staying in a house. Psychologically, this affects people. As time goes by, we're going to find that. There was just a police chief in Chicago that was promoted to like a deputy or something like that, and he killed himself. You know, so people are, you know, we got to get back to some kind of normalcy. And I know people would jump on the president that he said, we got to look at how this affects things, the disease and how it affects people mentally. When people are losing their jobs, and then in another year or so, when they're not paying their mortgage and they lose their homes, that affects people psychologically. So, when you come up with what's worse, the disease or the cure, right?
But guess what? My solution is don't listen to parties.
Yeah.
Don't listen to politics.
Yeah.
Listen to doctors. And if everybody puts a mask on or stays away for 2 weeks, we're done with the virus.
Yeah, well, we thought that.
Remember? But no, when I have the right not to use the mask, it's nothing about the right. You have the right not to use it. But guess what? Are we gonna end this or not?
Well,
that's the question. If you want to end this, okay, use your rights not to use the mask, but put the mask on.
Well, Carlos, you like you said, you were saying politicians, even doctors. The doctors were not saying anything about the protest. They weren't saying, don't protest, don't go and protest, social distance. They weren't saying anything about that. They said, you can't go to cookouts, you can't do this, you can't do that. But never did they talk about protests. Fauci and these people were silent on that. So when people hear social distance, put your mask on, but it's all right for 10,000 people to show up at a protest somewhere, I'm not really believing in the doctors, when they are not coming out and being, this is what it's got to be for everybody, not just a group of people that are protesters show up. It's wrong.
So what the it's all over the news yesterday. What that doctor came from, that now we sleep with aliens and all that crap.
That doctor is a doctor in Houston, Texas. There are other people that have said there is no issue. That drug has been used for malaria in Africa. There's no problem with that. Of course, they're going to find everything that somebody said. I get it. But like I said, I think that if there'd be more trust in some of the advice, if they'd say, we can't have 10 to 20,000 people out protesting, tearing things up. You can't do it. If I can't go to a nursing home and see a family member, or I can't go to a party with 30 or 40 people, then why can that happen? So people, when you say it's good for one, good for the other, not good for the other, people lose faith in the advice they're getting. And unfortunately, that's what's happened, I believe, a lot of times. You get a lot of this pushback, people wearing masks, because they say, why is it all right during a protest if you don't have to wear a mask? Or you wear a mask, but you're like right on top of people. That's okay. But you have to wear a mask to run in and get a coffee or to run in and get your order from something. You know what I mean? So when you have those two different stories, that makes people not believe. And I think we got to get over that. It has to be, this is the medical thing. It's got to be everything.
And you know something, in both sides, people are throwing things at the wall to see if sticks. That's pretty much how we been running right now. Both sides.
Well, Carlos, let me put this to you. All right. So I started getting back to a routine. I go back to my gym. It's a chain, which is all over the country. All right. So I would go in, you have your mask on, you go to a treadmill, you could take your mask off because you're doing some exercise. You're going to breathe heavy, even if you're walking quickly. Right. So as of August 1st, any of these gyms that are in the US, you now have to wear your mask the whole time you're there. So if you walk in, you get on a treadmill or you get on an elliptical and you're exerting yourself, you have to have this mask on. Does that make any sense at all when you had thousands of people protesting? It just makes no sense to me. That if anything, that could be a problem to somebody that's older, an older person going there. You're blocking off oxygen to them. And if you've already social distance, you can't be within 6-7 feet of people. Why is that the case? So I have a whole different outlook on this. I'm not saying the disease is not there. It is there. But if you're going to give out advice, medical advice, it has to apply to every circumstance, not just circumstances that people aren't going to fight back over. It's got to apply to everybody. And that's just not how, and I blame that on the media a lot too, because the media would actually come out and say things like it's our right to protest. I mean, it's very important that you get out there and protest. Okay. But it's not our right to go see a family member, or to go to a gym without a mask. Some places gyms aren't even open. That boosts your immune system, for God's sake. So, but anyway, we went on a tangent. Sorry.
That's okay. Another thing that I would like to announce is next Wednesday, our Portuguese show at 3:00. We're gonna have Kelly Young from the elections office, because she does have very good news about people registering to vote. And she said that she got 7,000 registered to vote by mail.
Wow.
So she said to see the difference, last year's elections was 3,200 people that vote in person.
Yeah.
So she said she doubled already just with the register to vote by mail.
Yeah. Well, I hope with this register to vote thing, and I've spoke with someone in that office, is that if you register to vote through mail, you get your ballot and you send it in. My question was, can you still go? What if someone goes to the polls and says, I'm here to vote? And apparently they're not going to be on the voting list if they've already voted. So we'll see what happens with that.
So very interesting, because I did give her a couple examples, like if I moved to New Hampshire, okay, and I didn't let them know, the person living on my house now got my letter, registered me to vote by mail when I'm in New Hampshire. So what happens is that person actually can get jail time. If I go in New Hampshire and I vote there, and they compare the papers and they say that it was a double voting, so that person really can get in really trouble.
Yeah, hopefully, like I said, not every. I think our polling things are pretty good here on the whole, but there are other cities.
I think Massachusetts. She says, something. It's one of the states that we have very confident on our system, because we do track paperwork. She said everything is tracked by paper, versus other states that just computers and stuff. Our states, everything is double checked by paper. So that's why she said probably some states will have a problem, maybe, but she says our states should not have a big problem.
Yeah.
So
I hope so.
Very good. So we have 2 minutes left, and anything in particular that you want to finish with?
I mean, there was something that the story's going to probably take too long, but I think we all need to look at this whole new cancel culture, where we're destroying people's lives. And we don't know if even these accusations are accurate. And once something's put out there, it's out there. And if it comes back where something's unfounded, where does that person go to get their reputation back? And something happened up in New Hampshire with a realtor. Not New Hampshire, up near Boston with a realtor. And, with this whole COVID thing, they're trying to rush people through. And someone made an accusation toward the realtor that they were being discriminatory. And, they're going to investigate it, and that's fine. If there's something there, it's there. But if something's not there, where does that person get their reputation back? And that really concerns me now. It's you're guilty before anything goes through. And I just think with the whole Facebook and everything, it's terrible.
And that happens a lot during elections, even locally. So we're done for today. Thank you, John. I see you next week. Stay safe.